An Australian woman spent $8,000 to look just like a cat. Squatters wouldn't leave a man's home, so he moved in. And a Texas mother was arrested after bringing Jell-O shots to a fifth-grade class party. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast in the universe. Got some weird stories from all around the world for you. Let's jump right in, shall we? An Australian woman spent $8,000 to look like a cat, and she deeply regrets it. In a scenario that sounds almost too absurd to be true, an Australian lady discovered the hard way that chasing clout may come at a high cost and with serious consequences. We have here the subject of our story. Her name is Jolene Dawson. She's a 29-year-old TikTok trendsetter. And sadly, Jolene made the foolish decision to spend $8,000 on a series of experimental treatments to make her look as much as a cat as possible. Oh, Jolene, 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 Jolene. You spent all your money to look like a cat and you don't look like a cat. I'm looking at photos of her. She really doesn't look very cat-like to me. I've seen people who just put cat ears on and a fake tail and look more cat-like than Jolene looks like. She only spent $8,000 though. I mean, if you really wanted her to look like a cat, you really got to spend it in the tens of thousands of dollars. You know, like that guy that spent $100,000 to look like Justin Bieber. I mean, that's $100,000 to look like a human that's different than you, but a human nonetheless. You're trying to go cat. To go cat, you got to spend $250,000, I'd imagine. This is a whole different animal, like literally. And that's probably the only time you've ever heard me say like literally on this podcast, and that's because it's actually appropriate to say it in that moment. All right, let's get back into the story about Jolene, 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 Jolene. Wanna look Faline, Jolene. Now, you're probably wondering what Jolene's motivation was to turn into a cat. She wanted to be one of these furries, the whole furry trend. Well, she wanted to attain viral stardom, according to her. This is why she had these treatments. She widened her nostrils and sharpened her cheekbones in the hopes of perfecting that feline look. It doesn't say here if she started pooping in a litter box or maybe she just went to the beach to do it. Was she addicted to the nip? Fascinated to find out if she was addicted to the nip. That nip will take you down. The nip is strong. It says, now Jolene says the entire ordeal was a catastrophe. Jolene's very punny. She confessed to the press that she never actually identified as a cat. Instead, she admitted bluntly, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to admit this, but I was just doing this for attention. Well, you know, they say the first step is just admitting that you have a problem. Jolene is admitting it. I mean, you gotta hand it to her. She's like, I was being foolish, seeking attention. I regret it. Unfortunately, her attention came with a high cost. Jolene revealed that her body began to reject the filler as it traveled to areas of her face where it was never intended to be. Oh boy, can you imagine? Things became even worse when she tried an experimental barbed threading operation, which left her in so much pain that she attempted to take out the threads herself, resulting in scars and lesions. What were these whiskers she tried to put in? Jolene, you have some food on the corner of your mouth. Let me get that for you. Those are my whiskers. Don't touch. I mean, meow, meow. We're going to continue with Jolene's quote to the media. She says, this was always intended to be a publicity stunt, and I stuck with reversible options because I knew I wouldn't want to look like a cat forever. However, I could have never predicted my body's reaction to these treatments and the way it has changed the composition of my lower face, possibly forever. Ugh. In addition to the visible damage, Jolene said she also developed extreme acid reflux. Oh, terrible. This was caused by filler migrating through her nasal cavity. Yeah. Well, I mean, you were gonna get acid reflux anyways. You were 29, so in 5 years you would have had it. That's just how acid reflux operates. You know, God gives us about 35 years of spice. We can have as much spice as we want, and then it's a shutoff. Unless you're Mexican, and then apparently with your stomach made of steel, you could just eat spice until the day you die. You won't catch me having a burrito after 9 p.m., though, I'll tell you right now. I'm no fool. Reflux me once, shame on me. Reflux me twice, you know. Ain't going to get refluxed again. All right, let's wrap up the story of Jolene spending all that dough to turn into a cat. Imagine if she had an ex-husband who just had to sit on the sidelines and witness all the alimony payments going to her turning into a cat. That'd be pretty devastating. Or maybe it would have been enjoyable for the ex. I don't know. Okay, Jolene has some reflections here, and she's getting help, and she has advice. So Jolene says she's hopeful about getting her health back on track and has hired a therapist to work on her need for validation in the form of public attention. Isn't that great? She's going to get some therapy. Yeah, you need therapy. Nothing wrong with that. Just, it's better than spending more money to continue to not look like a cat. Reflecting on the entire experience, she said, well, I'm well aware of how dumb this was. I've been in a lot of pain because of it. Her final advice to others chasing viral fame. She says, I just want to advise against ever getting experimental procedures and any procedure for the wrong reason. How about that? How about that feel-good story here, opening up this episode of Weird AF News with some good advice, too? Love this. Because, I've done many stories about people spending money to turn themselves into dogs and whatnot, and they have no regret whatsoever, these fools. She's admitting it. She's going to get help. And she's being outspoken about how foolish it is to take risks just for the sake of attention online. And I think we need a dose of this because people are doing outrageous things and endangering their lives simply for some online validation. And it's really sick. Good job, Jolene, 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 Jolene. You're no longer going to be a cat online. Squatters wouldn't leave a man's home, so he moved in with them. The story's out of Chicago. A Chicago guy says he did the unthinkable when he discovered some alleged squatters in his property. He decided, going to move in with them. Let's find out if it worked. His name is Marco Velasquez. He's the owner of a South Side property which is on the market to be sold. He claims his realtor came by with a potential buyer, but unfortunately there were already people inside living in his home. Velasquez said, I couldn't believe it, man. It was like a nightmare. There was a woman named Charmaine. She was living in his home with her boyfriend, Codaro. They had moved in. They claimed they recently purchased the property. Velasquez said the couple showed police a mortgage document, but Cook County confirmed that they do not see that mortgage on record. This is a thing that's happening in the U.S. and possibly all over the world where people are squatting and they're making fake documents, and they figure by the time they get caught and kicked out, takes months and months, so they get a free place to live for a while. I feel bad for the owner of this home. Let's keep reading and find out if his plan worked. Velasquez initially went to the police, but the police said they couldn't do anything. It needed to go through civil court. He says the police told him that under Illinois current law, they were unable to remove anyone from the house. So what did Velasquez decide to do? He says, well, I'm going to call a couple of friends. We're going to stay overnight. He thought that these, quote, tenants wouldn't enjoy him and his buddies staying there. Velasquez says he, his wife, and their friends spent the night with the alleged squatters. He says, quote, we stayed in the living room watching the door. They stayed in one of the bedrooms. We stayed a whole night with them, actually. The next morning, Velasquez claims he realized they weren't leaving. Well, he just stayed one night? You gotta stay like a week at least. Get him out of there. Bring in some musicians. Make as much noise as possible. Have karaoke party every night at the place. Or just like open your home out to free band rehearsals. Any band in the area, you want free rehearsals? Come to my house. Just set up the drum kit right in the living room. Or just offer your place for free porn shoots. Any time of day. You want to shoot your porn? Shoot it here. Totally free. Anyone have any other ideas how to get squatters out of a home? Did you ever happen to see that video of the guy who hired an annoying person to get squatters out of his sister's home? Shot the whole thing on video. It's like 4 or 5 videos. It was live streamed. Yeah, he had squatters were in his sister's house, and so he hired a guy, a super annoying loud person, to go and just move in and stayed in the living room. And over a few days of being annoying and being loud, eventually the woman that was squatting there left. This is probably a whole industry right now because there's so many squatters out there. You just hire a crazy person to move in and get your squatter out. I have some former roommates that would just be naturals at this. I won't mention any names. All right, let's get back to Vasquez and find out how he got these squatters out, if he did. Okay, he realized they were not budging after he stayed an evening. And Apparently, they asked for $8,000 to leave the property. They're asking you money to leave the property? Velasquez says he negotiated. You negotiated with... You don't negotiate with terrorists. He had the couple that were living there sign a cash-for-key agreement, and he paid them $4,300 to leave. Velasquez, I know a guy. Okay, I know a guy that can get him out for half of that. Yeah, I know a guy. All right, just trust me. I know a guy. Gave him $4,000 to leave. Velasquez says, quote, "We didn't want to give them money, but we heard really bad stories about squatters taking over properties for 6, 8, 10 months, even a year." In fact, Velasquez claims weeks later a Chicago police detective informed him that one of the alleged squatters in his case is the same woman accused of squatting in another home after leaving his property. Oh, yeah, so it's a serial squatter. These are trash people. So sad. Something has to be done with the laws or something. I don't even know how you fix the situation, but, there's like tenant laws in some states where residency has been established after 30 consecutive days of living in one place. So, but like what? So what? So you Airbnb a place out for a month and then you just stay? Like there's just these too many loopholes for trash people to take over your property. It's so horrible. You call the police and you're like, these people don't live here, and they're like, well, we can't do anything. You're like, here's this address. It's on my license. I live here. Here's the deed to my home. I own it. They're like, sorry, can't take the people out. Can't take those people. Like, I don't understand. That's just so bizarre and just unfair. And then they wonder why, I don't know, people buy tear gas. That'll get them out.
When you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like a Dior saddlebag or that diamond tennis bracelet, you go to eBay. There, you'll find new loves that will never disappoint. Expertly authenticated. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag, or classic watches like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier tank. On eBay, there are no limits to your high standards. Yeah, eBay. The place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay. Things people love.
Let's rock.
A mother has been arrested after taking Jell-O shots to a 5th grade classroom party. The story is out of Texas. Are you sure? I think they've spelled Florida incorrectly here. They're spelling it like Texas. This is definitely a Florida story. We have a Texas mother. Officials say she took alcoholic Jell-O shots to her child's elementary school party, and she was arrested. Sometimes you try to be the cool mom, and you cross the line, all right? You guys all know the cool mom. She let the kids drink over her house. Well, this lady was taking it to a whole new level. Teresa Isabel Bernal, age 33. She's been charged with injury to a child. This is in connection to a party at the Jones Elementary School in Tyler, Texas. Teresa purchased the Jell-O shots from a home business that she found on Facebook. You just buy Jell-O shots off Facebook? That's weird. I never heard of that. This is also egregious. I mean, having someone else make your Jell-O shots? Make your own, lady. What's wrong with you? Don't you know how to make Jell-O shots? I mean, come on, guys. I've never heard of anybody outsourcing the Jell-O shot making. It's a fun procedure. It's like making cookies. Anyway, so Teresa brings these Jell-O shots for the kids. The kids got it so easy. These newer generations got it so easy. We had to make our own Jell-O shots back in the day and drink them in the back of a cemetery so no one saw us. All right, so Teresa brings her Jell-O shots that she didn't make for the students, puts them on a table along with the treats that students had brought to share in a cafeteria where the 5th graders were gathered. 15 of the students consumed the Jell-O shots. Nearly all of them reported having stomach aches and headaches. Oh, boy. Kids can't even hold their liquor these days. Wow, such a weak generation. Now, one student told the police he vomited twice at school that day as a result of the Jell-O shots. How many did he have? Another student claims he passed out at school after consuming the Jell-O shot. You consumed one Jell-O shot and passed out? I do not believe you. Another student reported he had 6 Jell-O shots and got dizzy. Yeah, that's possible. When he returned to his classroom, he, quote, got dizzy and fell and felt like he could not get back on his feet. Wait, so these were served during the day? This wasn't some sort of after-school dance or something? I'm so confused. What kind of event was this? And is this just a mother of a kid and not a teacher? The mother just shows up. Yeah, I'll just bring treats to the school in the middle of the afternoon. Just give them out. I mean, not to mention the fact that she brought Jell-O shots with alcohol in them. I mean, that's a whole other level of pathology. Okay, so it says when Teresa was asked by the police about the shots, she claimed she did not know these Jell-O shots contain alcohol, but she admitted that they do taste different. Yeah. I didn't know they had alcohol, but they sure made me dance. I can't. I mean, how do you not know? Or that's why you make them yourself. Just make them yourself. Now you make sure, if you don't want alcohol in them, now you know. You made them. Outsourcing your Jell-O shots. This is what happens. Teresa says she discovered the shots had alcohol only after the children had consumed some of them. Well, I like to give her the benefit of the doubt. She didn't know, because you'd have to really be a crazy person. Although people are crazy. I mean, do you recall the teacher who put her husband's semen in cupcakes and then brought him into school and fed the kids? Do you remember that story? Those people went to jail for a long time. All right, let's wrap up this story and find out if Teresa's going to jail. It says here, the Facebook business that Teresa had purchased the shots from had a clear disclaimer on its website stating the shots were made with Smirnoff vodka. This is according to the affidavit. All right. Well, maybe she didn't see the disclaimer. Maybe she ordered them on her phone and she wasn't wearing her readers. I don't know. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. The police officer wrote in the affidavit, in my opinion, there is no way Teresa could have missed the fact that the Jell-O shots she purchased and brought to her daughter's 5th grade party contained drinking alcohol. So the police think she's guilty, and she was arrested and booked into the Smith County Jail. She is also not allowed back on the school campus. Poor girl. She's just trying to prepare these kids for living in the state of Texas. Or, in case at some point in life they meet Bill Cosby.
Hey, Todd, Daddy, how you doing?
There's a good chance you're dealing with a middleman, like me, when you get your medicines. That's because PBMs and insurers are often the same company. We even own big chain pharmacies and are buying your doctor's office. We decide what medicines you can get, where you get them, and how much you pay. It's a win-win. For me.
When middlemen own it all, you lose. Visit phrma.org/middleman to learn more. Paid for by Pharma.
Good day, good evening, good morning. Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Weird AF podcast. Appreciate you. This is your host, Jonesy. I'm here recording from my hotel in Laughlin, Nevada. Last night was my first night here, and man, did I tie one on. That was, ended up really late night at the $5 blackjack table because I'm a high roller. You know how that goes. Anyways, what an amazing night. Although I got in trouble with security because I went out a door I wasn't supposed to go out to smoke some weed, and then next thing you know, I got this G.I. Joe guy in my face. Why are people on such a power trip out there is what I want to know. What is it about them? Is it true that their penises are micro? That's what I think is happening. Anyways, despite all that, I'm having a great time. There's a beautiful river here. I don't even know it's all about the river. Everybody's on the river, jet skiing and boating on the river. And I've been offered a boat ride, so I'm going to take it. And we'll see if I live. All right. Anyways, I'm having a great time here. I'm at the Edgewater Hotel, and they got the LA Comedy Club here. If you happen to be around, come say hi. Got a show tonight, 8 o'clock. All weekend too. Friday night, there's shows at 7 and 9, Saturday 7 and 9, and a show Sunday as well. Come and see me. Don't bring up the Celtics right now, please. I'm trying to remain happy in life. Okay, I'm super hungover. I gotta go. I love you. Thanks for spending some time with me. Good luck with your life, man.